Yes. Today I want to talk about a story is also the freedom of the religion in China and back to the Cultural Revolution and beyond. Um, I have my best friend in elementary school uh, schoolmate, and when we are young, like you're 7 years old, you basically all the entire education system and it's follow the Soviet Union. So we have about 6 years elementary school and then 6 years high school. High school, junior high 3 years and senior high 3 years. Then you can go to college. And so in the elementary school, the first 3 years, so we're about 7, 8, 9, very young. And at that time, you're not joining any political group. They also follow the Soviet Union. So when you turn 10, third grade, and you join the group, and everybody wear the red scarf. And then after you become a member of the Red Scarf, and every morning they have this flag rising ceremony every morning in a school. But after you join the Red Scarf legal, and you had to salute to the flag. So that's like a normal thing. But my best friend and schoolmate, and her name was a little Bluey. And when we all joined the Red Scarf, so she's also joined. But in the morning, she's not salute. So I was curious. I asked her, I said, how can you not salute? Then you're going to get in trouble. The teacher and maybe principal going to call you into the office to question you. And what's the reason? And she told me, she's a very honest person, chubby face, and she's so nice to everybody and so honest that she never would tell any lie. So she just tell me straight. She said that I'm a Christian, and they told me, you cannot salute because God is the only one I can salute. That's what she said. And nothing, the time, of course, we are young and we are naive. We not feel anything. So she just told me like that. So not too long, couple times, because we had so many people in the morning, we all salute outside. So they didn't caught her. And after a couple of days, and they caught her, and so they immediately took her to the principal's office and questioned her and actually forced her to salute. And she refused. So what happened is I didn't know anything before, I didn't know anything about her family background. And because I think later she told me her father was in jail, and mother is a high school teacher, musical teacher. And why her father's in jail, he says anti-revolutionary. I said, well, what about it? And she told me because her father owned a chemical factory, and also their whole family is a Catholic. So they go to Catholic school, church every week, every Sunday, and they was very religious, the entire family. And then now that I had to tell you something about the background about this religion in China. So there is a very famous bishop in Shanghai, and he was appointed by the Pope in 1950. So 1950, that time, communists already took over. but just start. So they they took away people's possession, like private property or factory or whatever it is. But it's very difficult to take away things intangible like their religion. So in Shanghai, the city I was born, since the opium war, 1840, and because China Qing dynasty is a defeated country, so they signed a treaty with 8 different countries. So they all have their own section in Shanghai. So they have a different church, and they even have some mosque too, Moslem too, because that was before the opium war. That was, I think, during the Ottoman Empire, and some Muslim from go to the west of China, then eventually move to Shanghai. So they have this Muslim living in Shanghai, so they have their own mosque. And then my family is kind of interesting. My father was adopted by a Muslim family, and but he's never practiced Islamic. But when my grandmother died, and so they had to have a ceremony in the mosque, and also have to have a priest coming to home to pray for 7 days or something like that. And then my mother's side, my mother's father, the family, they are Christians. And my grandfather was, when he was young, go to the missionary school. So basically, his English is better than Chinese. So absolutely is a Christian background. But then my father always said that let us kids choose whatever we wanted to be. And but since my grandmother died, the priest coming to home, and so we were, we are the kids. We basically very naive, very honest. We saw something and we think they are kind of phony, and then they are very mean to the kids. So we don't like that. So of course we not wanted to go to mosque. We don't want to be a Muslim. And then just opposite, we like to go with my mother because in the church they sing and especially and they celebrate the holiday or something, and the beautiful music, organs. We love it. And also things like more loving and welcome the kids. So we like to go there. But at that time, 1949, and the communists took over, and nobody can practice it, they cannot take away because that things that what you believe in your mind, And so gradually they wanted to infiltrate, and they sent their undercover, the Communist Party member, to those church, and they organized an organization called the Patriotic Catholic Association or something to against the influence from Rome, Vatican. And so that time, since 1955, and they arrested about 180 the priests, and the biggest one that in the head of this they call anti-communist group. The head of that is the bishop of the Shanghai, and he spent about 30 years in jail in China. Probably died 2000, I think 88 or something, finally managed out to go to America. I think he died in Connecticut, Stanford, Connecticut. And but meanwhile, they arrested about 200 people, all those head of a different church. And because he told those people, he said that don't compromise, and don't surrender, and don't betray. But the result of that, so he and the other people all go to jail. Some are executed, and that the schoolmate, little Bluey, her name is not Bluey, it's a very Catholic name, but they don't let her to have that name, so she had to change it in Little Blue or something like that. And her father was financially supporting, donated lots of money to the Catholic Church. And so they arrest him, and put him in jail, eventually executed him because he followed the cardinal, the bishop is don't surrender and don't betray. And then interesting enough is my next door neighbor is old guy, he also is another church nearby my house, and he's the head of that church. And I didn't know what's happening, but he survived. And one day my little Bluey came in. He said, I know that guy. So I said, how do you know? So she told me, and actually that guy was sold her father and the other people out and confessed. And so, of course, for his own survivor, And but I didn't know. So he still remained in the church. So basically that time, they still have a church. You still can go to worship God, but basically entirely is controlled by Communist Party. So this little Bluey was a very sad story. And after elementary school, I think 1966, so we are the first year of the high school, junior high school, and Cultural Revolution happened. And she went to another high school because we not live in the same area. And eventually I was looking for her, especially before I leaving for the labor camp. I want to talk to her. And then finally I got her to the place that she used to live. And then her neighbor told me, and she committed suicide. I was shocked because normally...
You mean the little Blue?
Little Blue, yeah. Normally, she's very happy, little chubby-faced little girl, very talented. That she can make those use the door to make a toy, very artistic. And because he said that day, 1966, I think, summer in September or something, and the red guy killed and beat her mother to death. And at that time, when you, if they announce you is an anti-revolutionary or something, and no funeral house will collect you, coming to pick your body. And so she had to borrow, those like a rickshaw kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know what to say in English because I don't see anything, this kind of thing in here. So carry stuff, so she had to borrow that to carry her mother's body out of the school and then go to to criminal. And then that's how, and also you're not allowed to bury it, even my grandmother's buried in this Moslem cemetery. They took all the bones out and told us to collect it, get a bag or something, and said, you have this any religion in your, the head, in your grave, and say what kind of religion, and those people all had to be figured out, and so things like that. And so she carried her mother to the crematory, and then she come back, and her neighbor said she just hanged herself.